Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of 9x90. Today, we have a very special guest on our show. She is warmly known as the Godmother of Silicon Valley because she has mentored, guided, and coached some of the world's top performing professionals, especially in the tech space of the modern era. She is the godmother, actually, of the modern era, I would say. But today she's on to tell us about a very amazing app that she came out with and some other very cool things that she is working on now. So, Esther, thank you so much for coming and joining.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm very excited to be here. And thanks for that description. That was that was pretty amazing. Thank you.
I love how when we first met for pizza, I had no idea who I was meeting. And then you were like, well, I'm the mentor of all these people. And it was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I'm trying to change the world through them. It's so exciting. They're doing a great job.
I think you've been very effective. My God. My God. Wow. Yeah. And you have your movie premiere coming out soon.
That's right. It's called The Godmother of Silicon Valley. How's that for an imaginative title?
No, I loved it. I loved seeing that. And I was like, that is so accurate. Although, as someone who grew up using Google for all of my homework, I would say the godmother of modern history.
Yes, I was involved in Google at the very beginning. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, that was incredible. And your daughters have both gone on to be amazing leaders as well.
Right. So Susan was the CEO of YouTube, but actually she started at Google, and she was the one that came up with the way Google should earn money. Because Larry and Sergey said, we know how to find anything you want to find on the web, but we just can't figure out how to make any money. That was kind of an essential piece.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so do you want to go a little bit, we just touched on a little bit, but would you like to dive deeper into your origin story, how you got to where you are today?
Sure. So my origin story, so my mother and father were born, my mother was born in Krasnoyarsk in Siberia.
No way.
Yes. My father was born in the Ukraine in a little town called Kamenets-Podolsk it's near the border of Poland.
Oh, wow.
And they met in New York City. They had a lot in common right away. And then, of course, they got married, and then they had me. So I was the first generation born in the United States. And the entire family was like so excited because oh my God, we've got a real American here.
We created an American. Look at us.
It was really crazy.
Oh, that's so funny.
It is. So my father was very talented artist. But unfortunately, art is not a very high-paying profession, or unless you're Picasso or something. Yeah. And so he was busy trying to figure out how to earn a living, and he couldn't find any place in New York. So we ended up moving to Los Angeles, where he thought, "Oh, let's go west, young man. You'll find the place to be." So I grew up in Los Angeles. He actually didn't do as well as he wanted to do financially. He ended up being a gravestone artist, which paid a lot. So most of those gravestones in LA, I would say he probably carved them.
No way.
Can you believe? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, wow.
So
wow,
he did a lasting impression, that's for sure.
Yeah. Wow.
So as I mentioned, we didn't have a lot of money. And my parents were immigrants, and so we didn't have health care, which is kind of crazy, but that's true for a lot of people today. They don't have health care. So we had 3 kids. My mom had me, I was the oldest, and then 2 boys. And so the youngest boy was about 18 months old. He was playing on the kitchen floor with the pots and the pans and all the stuff because that was the toys. And then he accidentally found a bottle of aspirin, and he opened the bottle of aspirin, and then he ate it.
Oh my God.
And so my mom called the doctor, and of course, not having, being a full paying patient, I think he probably didn't listen, because I don't think that he would have given this advice if he would have listened. But he told her, it's like, just put him to bed and see how he is in 2 hours, which is a standardized answer for most doctors. They're like, oh, they've got a fever, just put him to bed, whatever. So, I don't want to blame him, but other than he didn't listen, my mom did not challenge this. Being an immigrant, she's like, oh, he knows best. He's a doctor. I'm just a little woman, an immigrant, and I don't know so much. So she did it. And unfortunately, he got violently ill. They took him to the hospital, to a community hospital, and then to some other hospitals, but no one would accept him because they didn't have proof of payment. It's just a total nightmare situation. Now they've changed that. So, you have to take someone who's critically ill. And so he died.
Yeah.
And it was tragic. And so what that showed me, and, it's just a 10-year-old at the time. And I just, was dragged from one hospital to another, because they had no babysitters, of course. It showed me that if you don't speak up for yourself, if you don't ask questions, if you aren't your own advocate, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
You're dead. You're going to die.
Wow.
And so that changed my philosophy and everything. And I basically asked all the hard questions. I did everything that, was not girls did not go into journalism. I went into journalism. My family being, Orthodox, they didn't want me to do anything but get married.
Yeah.
18, oh, you're perfect. We already have the prospect for you, just go and all this stuff. And it's like, no, I'm not going to get married. I'm going to go to college. And they're like, why would you ever want to go to college? All you need to do is find a rich boy, we already have one, that's perfect. So there was a little bit of a disconnect there. I went off to college. They were pretty upset. But then my philosophy has been, my whole life has been to empower people so that they can ask the tough questions, so that they don't have to be afraid of making a mistake. And even if they make a mistake, so what, so just revise it. And so I wanted first to be a journalist, because I thought, well, I can reach more people that way, right? And I can help protect the underdog.
Yeah.
But this was in the 1970s, and women were not in journalism. I don't know if you knew that back then, but women, I was banned from the San Francisco Press Club because I was a woman. And, you couldn't work for newspapers unless you wanted to be a secretary or in charge of advertising, but no, you couldn't be a journalist unless you were working for some dinky little newspaper and they were really strapped. And so they hired you, hoping that you would behave yourself and act like a man. So I decided that, okay, I can't do what I really want in journalism because no one's going to hire me to be a news reporter, an opinion writer. So I was like, okay, I'll teach all these kids how to do the same thing that I was going to do. And then, I'll get my ideas across and I'll fulfill my goal. So that's how I started working and teaching at Palo Alto High School. I started with a tiny program. I think it had 18 kids in it, and they'd had a little tiny newspaper. And, when you're a new teacher, you have to follow the rules or they fire you right away. So I followed the rules for a while. When I got tenure, which took about 2 years, I stopped following the rules and I empowered all my students to ask the tough questions and to be journalists and to do all the things to make the world better.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. My program got to be so popular. It went from those 18 kids, then the next year was like 30 kids, then 40 kids. And the administration was like, what are you doing to them? How are you getting all these kids there? And they accused me of giving them pizza. Can you believe that? I was like,
It's hysterical.
no, I'm not really doing that. Anyway, and by the year 2000, it had grown to about 100 kids in my class. They loved it. The administration loved it because they're like, oh, just one teacher, she's teaching 100 kids, and we get to collect all this money from the state, and other classes can be, they average class size. So, they were able to make other classes smaller. But I was like, this is a little too much, and not only that, they were threatening to fire me all the time because the word on the street is like, her kids are always asking these questions in class and disturbing the class culture. I, the teacher, I want to be in charge, and I'm going to do what I want to do. And, and actually they had an academic senate meeting about me, and it's like, you need to stop this. But actually, fortunately, in 2002, I got California Teacher of the Year for the whole state. And that was I always wondered what awards are good for, because, they're just, you get an award, you get to hang it on the wall or something.
Yeah.
This one had a huge impact because then they stopped threatening me. And all of a sudden they started to, well, she might be doing something right after all, what's going on here? Let's take a look.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I remember that article. Like, that was when I still read the news regularly, and that article came out, and it was like, this woman has changed the way teaching's happening, and her daughters have achieved all these things. So I was like, wow, I wonder if I'll get to meet her one day. Yeah, I
Yes,
remember.
it's incredible. So also the same year, so that was 2000. My daughter's Google started in my daughter's garage in 1999, 1998.
Yeah.
And so the year 2000, I brought Google into the classroom. I was the first teacher.
No way.
And you cannot believe, everyone was like, what is that thing, Google? Like, and then the administration, teaching, I don't know, somehow they're so conservative that they're always looking back. They're like, it's just a fad, these computer things, they're going to disappear next year. I don't know why you want to have a computer in your class. What a crazy idea that is.
Yeah, yeah.
So, of course, that didn't, it of course went on. And so, so after a while, they started to see me as opposed to being, this revolutionary person who did nothing, as to being a real revolutionary. Oh my God, she's actually onto something. It's working.
Yeah.
And the program just boomed. It went from that one newspaper to then I had a magazine, and then I had 2 magazines, and then 3 magazines. And today there are about 700 kids in this program. It's the largest media program in the nation. And there are 14 magazines. We allow kids to even start their own magazine in case they don't like one of the ones we already have.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. That's incredible.
And so the idea is, you guys, it doesn't matter whether you know how to do it right the first time. You try to do it. You just do it. And then if it doesn't work out, every mistake or failure is a learning opportunity. You just change it and do it again and make it work.
Yeah.
That culture spread everywhere and spread all over into Google as well. Because at that point, my daughter was already, Google had started in her garage. And in 2004, Google hired me. And they hired me, basically, there was no education program at Google, none.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember having a conversation with Larry and Sergey, and it's like, why aren't you having an education component, an EDU or something?
Yeah.
And Larry, this famous phrase, he's like, Google is education. We don't need anything else. Just type your question into the search bar. That's it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, he doesn't know teachers. We need help.
I remember Google EDU coming out, and I remember the scholarship feature coming out. I think I was in high school when that happened.
Yeah, probably. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I could just go on, but to make a long story shorter, it grew. And then, finally, I mean, they told me if you really want to have a Google EDU, Google Education, you're going to have to write the lesson plans yourself. It's like, okay, I'll do it. Don't
Yeah.
challenge me, because I get excited when I'm challenged.
Yeah. Yeah. Ashkenazi women should not be challenged. That's when we shine.
That's right. So, it grew, and today it's the largest media program in the United States.
Yeah.
And I have hundreds of kids, thousands of them that went on to have incredible careers all over, and everything from, law, medicine. Most of them became entrepreneurs. A lot of very successful students and a lot of CEOs and so forth. So they made a film about me.
Yes.
I know, it's coming out on April 16th. And
I
it's called The Godmother of Silicon Valley.
I shared it in the Miami chat, and people were going to fly from Miami to Silicon Valley just to be there for the premiere, but they were put on the wait list. And then that's why I asked you. I was like, it's kind of full, and people are going to fly 12 hours.
We're going to come to Miami. The whole thing will come to Miami, so you can tell them not to worry.
Okay.
It'll come to Miami. It's going to go to DC and New York. It'll go around the country.
Yeah.
It's just a short documentary, but what it has is my students are in it, my former students, and they talk about what it was that changed everything for them and how the program impacted their life. And so I have that app now called ParentingTRICK, and I'm trying to help parents do the same thing. And, I'd love the schools to do more of the same thing, but it's harder for schools because the culture of the school system it's embedded in the teachers, but the unions, and then the tenure system, and then the state code of education. And there's so many things to change. It's really hard. So, I know a lot of teachers are trying, but it's tough.
The other thing that's hard is when the teachers have like 600 students asking different questions, and some of them are distracted and some of the questions aren't relevant. Like, the school system in the US really is just engineered for making employees. Like, I remember so many of my classmates who were like the best behaved student, who didn't ask any questions, handed in all the math, didn't push back. Like, they're now employees somewhere else. Those who like didn't fit into the school system, like my kindergarten teacher told my parents that I wouldn't graduate high school, and I have an MBA from one of the top business schools in the world. Like, she did that because my mother had taught me how to read up to a second grade level before I started kindergarten.
Oh my God. They don't want you to do that with your kid.
No, because then I sat there and she was having my classmates learn the alphabet. And I was like, it's not fair that I have to sit here while they learn the alphabet. I already put in the hours, and I would go look out the window. So when she like insisted my parents come with me to the principal's office, the principal was like, humor me, have her take a reading test. And so they had me take this test. And so then when my classmates would study the alphabet, I would go into the first and second grade classrooms and read the books.
Oh my God. Well, I actually had one of my grandchildren was in a similar situation to you.
Yeah.
And the teacher's like, she told my mom, she says, my daughter. She said, Adam, he knows too much already. We're going to put him in the library every day. He goes straight to the library.
Yeah, that was it.
And that was it. He just went to the library every day.
Yeah, they call it double gifted now. If you have ADHD and Mensa, you're double gifted. So they put a warning label on you when you walk into classrooms.
It's hilarious. That's true. So, so what I was doing in my classes, and what I still do, and what the program does, is ask kids to think and to ask those difficult questions, and then to write about it. And there's 5 other journalism teachers there also, and they all follow the same philosophy. And my goal really for the school system worldwide is to give kids at least 20% of the time of the curriculum, because I'm telling you, never going to be 100%.
Yeah.
but at least 20% of the time where they can work together peer to peer on problems that they personally want to solve. And so it's peer-to-peer project-based learning where they're empowered. And if they don't do it right, so what? Just do it again. And Mark Zuckerberg had that statement, which he actually copied from Google.
What is it?
He changed it, which was like, my statement was just do it, move fast. His was move fast and break things. And that sounds just like him.
Yeah.
And, actually, the phrase really was move fast and revise.
Yeah.
And so he just wanted to make it more dynamic. Oh, of course. So, but it's the same thing. So the culture of the Valley is that it's okay to make a mistake, which is one of the things that needs to switch in other communities. Because when, in other parts of the world, when you make a mistake, you're so humiliated.
Oh my God, I know.
Forward. And so my theory is mistakes are just opportunities to learn.
Yeah.
And that's the revolution. And, I think, Einstein said that was also an opportunity to learn. So I'm just carrying along that message.
Yeah. I did a brain scan yesterday, and they did this part where they would ask me a bunch of math questions really fast. And my mind was thinking of the math questions about like negotiating hundreds of millions of dollars, and how if I was off by one, like that was a huge deal. And they're like, your cortisol levels spiked when we got to basic math questions. What were you thinking? And I was like, I was literally picturing the last time I had to negotiate the debt and equity ratio of an $800 million asset. And they're like, but it was a basic math question. It's like, what's 29 plus 14? And it was like, do not get this wrong.
Yes, I think when you apply it, that's when the issues happen.
Yeah. But it was funny. So
anyway, what I'm trying to do, since it's hard to impact the school system because of all the laws surrounding the school system, tenure and the teachers unions and the state code and so forth. And, they evaluate teachers on how well behaved your class is. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
You want to come in and all the kids are supposed to be sitting there quietly, just, I don't know what they're supposed to be doing, but quietly. And, my classes were just chaos, to be honest. And my theory was if you didn't understand something and you wanted to work on it, first person to ask is your friend. And if you don't know, ask another friend and then a third friend. And if still you can't figure it out, then I'm here. So I was trying to promote peer-to-peer learning, because if you go to work in a company and you don't understand something, you don't go to the CEO.
No.
It's all group work, peer learning.
Yeah.
So I just was trying to train them for the real world. And that it turns out kids really like that. They love working with each other. And they love it, especially when it's okay to make a mistake, because then you can just fix it.
Yeah.
So that's behind my whole system.
I tell my children, it's not my job to be their mother. It's my job to be their advisor, because one day they're going to be running a company.
Yes, that's right. Their advisor. That's exactly it. That was my name, advisor, and on the newspaper.
Yeah. Oh, cute. Oh, and the kids' newspaper. Oh, fun.
Then a newspaper, they have magazines. I'm sorry I don't have any copies. Oh, I might have a copy. Do you want me to try to find one?
It's okay. We can jump into the next question.
They can just go to Palo Alto High School Media Arts programs, and they're online.
Yeah. And I'm sure if they Google your name, they'll see things. So we could also embed one and link to in the web page.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
So you're working on ParentingTRICK, the app.
Yes.
Can we dive into that a little bit?
So ParentingTRICK, first of all, the question is, why is it called TRICK? And TRICK is the acronym I came up with to help parents remember what's important. It's in my book, How to Raise Successful People.
Yeah.
And I also wrote another book called Moonshots in Education. It's
Okay.
a book too. And TRICK stands for trust. That's the first thing I think is important. Trust your children. Second, respect. I is for independence. Give your children as much independence as possible, depending on their age, of course. C is for collaboration. Collaborate. Stop being such dictators. Parents are just like, you're going to do this. It's like 8 o'clock. And if you don't do it. And then K is for kindness.
Yeah.
And it's so important. It works in the classroom because I trusted my students and respected their ideas. You can't believe what wacky ideas they came up with.
Yeah.
And some of those ideas worked out beautifully. So I don't even want to say that those ideas were wacky. And then I gave them a lot of independence. I collaborated with them instead of dictated. And I was always there to help them no matter what. And I always wanted them to know that no matter what mistake they made, I was there.
Yeah.
I think parents need to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's why it's called ParentingTRICK. And what's happening in most parenting situations is, I don't know if you know that the test scores get home to the parents before the kid even gets home. It's required by state law that the teacher put up the test scores right away.
Yeah. I never look at that. I wait for her to come home and explain.
Afternoon, Johnny comes home from school. His mom is already like furious that he flunked his math test, right?
Yeah.
Back in the old day, that was when I was going to school, and you too, probably.
Yep.
If you came home and your mom said, "So how'd you do on math?" You're like, "Oh, great."
My parents didn't even keep track if we had tests. Like they didn't ask. Like I just kept it in my backpack. The tests and the homework, they didn't ask.
Well, that was smart. Anyway, but then, so in addition to getting an F on your test, you get yelled at by your parents, and you might have another punishment coming along that you didn't even anticipate. And so it makes the life of kids really challenging.
Yeah.
They have no privacy. They're being tracked all the time. It's really hard for them. So there's an app called Life 360. It's one of the most popular and profitable apps out there. Parents put that on their kid, on their phone or on their watch or something, and they can track them wherever they are. And this is a total violation of their privacy, of course. But it's super popular. I mean, I think you can look it up. It's like 80% of the parents are using it or something like that, because people don't trust each other anymore.
Well, it's also crazy because like you look at things like Roblox and these other ways that pedophiles are getting access to children nowadays.
I know, it's terrible.
Yeah. So yeah.
So we do need to be careful on the web. You need to teach your kids. So my theory, and what I tried to do, and I've not given up, is I wanted to, on the phone, before you get your phone for a child, there's a little course on that phone. There should be one, which teaches you all the dangers of the phone and how you should behave. It's kind of like, how would you like to just give your kid a car and just say, "Okay, here's the keys. Go ahead. You can just drive wherever you've seen me drive, right? So you know how."
Yeah.
We need a driver's license for the web, and this is what I've been trying to do to help kids avoid being tricked. We could also have a driver's license for the web for people over 60, because they're getting spammed, and they're just getting.
Oh my God.
They're having a lot of problems because they were not digital natives, and they don't understand a lot of the terrible things that are happening online. And so I get this magazine, this art magazine, and every single copy, every edition has an article on how to avoid being scammed.
Oh my gosh. That's
Terrible.
a great thing. We had with my grandmother before she passed a few years ago. She was in her 90s. My cousin was having to go over there regularly and look through her emails and texts for spam.
They don't even know the difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even though today's grandparents are savvier than the early ones, there's still a lot of scammers out there.
Yeah. My father will ask me, he's like, "Is this real or not?"
Right. So if you just look at the history of what Google has purchased in the last year or maybe 2 years. They paid the most for a security company.
Of course they did. Yeah.
Without security, we have nothing on the web, nothing.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, yeah, be careful with invitations, by the way. This is for everybody. Birthday invitations, all these invitations, most of those now are scams.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I get invited to speak at all these different events. I've done like 40 panels between Singapore to Abu Dhabi and back to the US since October. And now I tell people the easiest way for me to suss out the scams is I tell them what the comp is. I'm like, okay, yeah, you have to pay my first class flight, 5-star hotel, and you have to give me this is my speaker's fee. And if they can't do that, and they're like, oh, we were hoping you'd pay to speak. I'm like, nope. Thank you so much. Where do I send my check? Nope.
Anyway,
yeah,
I think we have a lot in common. And so I'm trying to, my goal worldwide with ParentingTRICK is to help them bring up children that are happy, believe in themselves, and can accomplish something to make the world better.
Yeah.
And if I just think about Mark Twain, everybody remembers Mark Twain, the author. He said the 2 most important days of your life. Number 1, the day you were born. And number 2, the day you figure out why.
Yes. Yeah.
And you cannot figure out why if you're always being told what to do.
What I love with my family, so I'm 5th generation real estate. And when you turn 7, 8 years old, you get a blue blazer and you come to you start going to business and board meetings and city hall planning meetings, and they don't say you're going to be an architect. They say figure out where you're going to sit in the real estate ecosystem.
Yeah, what do you want to do? Because you know, the real estate is like huge.
I know.
And we all have to have a place to live.
Yeah, but
businesses.
It gave so much autonomy. And then people are like, how are you guys in real estate for 5 generations? And it was like, well, actually, if you go overseas, it's much longer. But in the US, it was never, oh, you and your siblings are going to fight over inheriting one company. It was, no, you can go out and make your own real estate companies and your own real estate groups and your own private equity funds, but stay in real estate because that's where all of our contacts are.
Right. That's great. Yeah, that is great.
But I also love the collaboration piece that you have. My children, when my husband's here, he's like a drill sergeant. He's trying to get everyone to do everything, and he's so stressed by the end of the morning routine. And when he's not here, I'm like, okay, who's getting who dressed? Who's helping with this? And I list the tasks that need to be done, and then the 2 of them, age 4 and 9, figure out who's doing what.
I think that's great. You know, you want to give your kids a responsibility that makes them feel like they're actually doing something real to be part of the family, not just something that is you cook up for no reason whatsoever. They actually have to be part. I mean, I had my kids, well, poor Susan, when she was like 2, she was already in training. Because, you know, back then we used cloth diapers. It was just so annoying. And the diapers, you know, they had to be folded. But you can teach a 2-year-old how to fold. And she thought she was so proud of herself.
Yeah.
Janet, by the way.
That's an achievement. My 4-year-old, he'll take my t-shirt, he'll fold it in half, and then he looks at it and he just rolls it up into a ball and hands me the ball. I'm like, thank you. I love that.
I have this woman that was fixing my drawers for me, and she rolled everything up into what looked like little sardines. It was crazy. Yeah. She's like, it's the best way for your drawers. You can see everything. They're like little sausages.
Yeah. I had a maid who used to do that. Yeah. I mean, some people have time for that, but I don't have the patience for that. I'll literally, some weeks I take all of my black t-shirts out of the laundry. I throw them in the drawer. I don't care that they're going to be wrinkled when I put them on. And then I'm literally, I
know your favorite color. My favorite color is black. You know why is that? First, never gets dirty and you can't see it.
I know. Yeah. I have 20 pairs of the same black t-shirt and same black leggings.
I do too. Oh my God. We have the same
thing.
Wardrobe.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I have like my occasional, like, okay, I have to wear this blazer once a week. I have to wear that blazer once a week. But 90% of my wardrobe is just 2 items.
I
Yeah.
knew there was a reason I liked you.
I thought it was because I put my older brother on the nuclear power plant panel at Davos.
Oh, well, that was good too.
I loved when you were like, judging by the way you're laughing, I don't think you enjoyed it as much as you did.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was very funny. But
Uh,
no, he did great. So, okay, you also are working with Stanford and selecting biotech companies that you then bring to Andreessen Horowitz.
Well, let me tell you. So this is another one of my former students. Her name's Mary Minnow. And we just set up this biotech or this fund, basically. And what we're doing is we're looking at companies that are using AI in healthcare that is somehow going to change healthcare and help the world. And so, and the main people involved are students, present students at Stanford, and then professors of medicine at Stanford, because they know when something, I actually have some people from Harvard as well. And so the idea is, what can we do with AI that is then going to really have an impact on your health or on the system where you get your health, on the doctors? How are we actually going to change it? So we have 7 companies that we are early investors, and several of the early companies were picked up after we invested in them by Andreessen Horowitz. So we were the first ones in, and they were second. And we have some other sort of companies on Sand Hill Road where a lot of these are that are also doing the same thing. And the student, and then we started an accelerator, kind of crazy. And this is not my idea. This is my student who I'm so proud of.
Yeah.
Idea. She called it, I should say, Tree Hub. I was like, Tree Hub, what is that? She said, Stanford's, logo, Stanford symbol is a tree.
Yeah.
And then we are using Stanford students, and we have a hub for them. It's an accelerator where they can come and get support. We have a building and an office, and they can get office support. They can get financial support. And we help them get started if we like their idea and we like the team. So that's what we do. It's called Tree Hub.
That's amazing. I just joined as managing partner at a fund that's taking desalination and energy tech companies that are ready for commercialization, like rapid scale around the world. And you were in that meeting where we were like, okay, we're going to make money this way. We're adding power plants to your country if you can tell me how you are improving women's education with those energy plants.
I was in that meeting.
Like, what? Like, we thought this was a business deal. And I was like, it is a business deal. I care about women's empowerment. I want women nurses in your country. So I'll give you an energy grid that we're going to make money off of, but part of those proceeds go to women's schools.
Smart. You're very clever.
Yeah. Anyways, it's fun. Okay. So what is one thing you were shocked to face or have to overcome on your path to success? I know you covered a few different things. Like the story about your younger brother is absolutely atrocious. That's just heartbreaking. To lose a younger sibling is just it's brutal.
I know. I still can't think about it without getting upset. And that was like all those years ago.
When I was 11, my sister was poisoned with mercury. She was 5.5 years old.
Oh.
And she went to the hospital and she ended up having a 45-minute seizure. They couldn't get her out of it. They had to hook her up to machines to get her brain to stop seizing. And then after that, because it took them so long they kept thinking her seizure's going to stop any minute. Because it took them so long before they did anything, she ended up with permanent brain damage and epilepsy until she was 18.
Oh my God, what a terrible story.
Yeah, but it's just when something happens, when you're like an older sibling and something happens to your younger siblings, you're like, It's crazy because you want to be their protector, and then you feel like you failed, but you're just a child.
Yeah,
And
you can never forget it. It just has an imprint on you that is just lifelong. It's forever.
yeah, yeah, and I'm very specific with which doctors I trust, why. When they tell me they're going to do a procedure, I'm researching it. I always verify anything that they're recommending, supplements, taking, being a self-advocate with my own medicine. But so you have this you had to overcome that thing at such a young age, and then you had to overcome where people, all these other obstacles. Are there any more recent obstacles that you were kind of shocked to face when rolling out the Parenting Trick app?
Well, I've only been trying to roll out this ParentingTRICK app for the last like 9 months. So I haven't had, we have about 15,000 users. I would like to get more users, because what my goal would be is for more parents to believe in their kids,
Yeah,
and produce kids that are, I would say, that believe in themselves.
yeah,
And so I don't know what the I mean, I haven't succeeded in figuring out exactly how to reach more parents. I am concerned. I'm working with UC Berkeley,
hmm
3,000 students at UC Berkeley. 54% of the entering freshman class at universities across the country, but also UC Berkeley, are clinically depressed. So that means they either need a therapist, or they need a drug, or they need something. They can't function independently. So how do we get into this state? Well, unfortunately, it's a pharmacological problem, but it's exacerbated by parents who are always wanting to make sure their kids are doing the absolutely right thing to get into college. They've got this target point.
yeah,
And if you don't get into the right college and so forth, then, just terrible things. And we have all these teenage suicides, and the pressure is intense. And so what I'm trying to do is help parents let up on that pressure. Their kids are going to be happier, more successful, do more creative things in the world if they believe in them and allow them to make mistakes. I mean, it's the same thing that I was talking about earlier with the system. It's just people are so angry when anyone makes a mistake. And it comes from the culture of testing. The whole testing system, you have one chance to take that test. And then if you don't get a good grade, well, oh, terrible, my theory is you take the test,
negotiations are the
do well, no big deal, just take it again.
high stakes negotiations, though. They're the same way. Like if you misspeak, there was one person said one thing in a negotiation yesterday, and it almost blew up a $250 million deal.
Oh, good grief.
And it's just like high stakes negotiations are the same. Like when you get into private equity and you get to these other levels. But to your point, I absolutely agree about the pressures. A lot of the kids I grew up with, not a lot, I'd say a significant amount, a higher than normal, either died of suicide or drug overdose because the pressure was just too much.
Pressure is just too much. And we have a lot of kids that are on drugs, all kinds of drugs. And of course, this is promoted by the pharmacological industry. And, so it's ADD and ADHD and, Adderall and all. I just think it's a terrible situation. So that's what I'm trying to help parents understand, that wild, rambunctious 4-year-old of theirs can turn out to be an amazing human being. Can we just give them a chance to live and to grow and to not be criticized?
Yeah, yeah. And there's so much where people will say, oh, you have a mental illness if you don't fit into this cookie cutter thing. There was a young kid, not young kid, he's in his 20s. People were giving him a hard time because he's hyper vigilant. And I was like, don't do that. And they're like, why? I was like, because the CIA, the FBI, the police force, they all need people who are hyper vigilant. And
Right.
that's baked into you. That's not something you can be. The level of hypervigilance that kid has is in his DNA. And that's what keeps our nation safe.
That's right. And so he can be valuable in many ways. And so
Yeah.
we need to, calm down. Also, there's a book out that I don't like the whole book, but I like parts of it. It's called Bad Therapy. Um, we entrust our kids' mental health to somebody else.
No, nope. That's my job. I'm very
And
predictable with that.
you're the mom, you're the
Yeah.
dad, and you're like, and who are these people?
Yep.
And I think it's really important.
Yeah.
Kids don't need to have therapy.
Yeah.
A normal kid is okay. They do crazy things. That's what kids do. Back in the old days, that was like kid-like behavior.
Yeah.
Seriously. And I think that's one of the things my students liked best about what was going on in my classes is that all this wild, crazy behavior that especially teenage boys have. I was like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. They'd be running around. I mean, one of my classrooms was a portable. They'd literally run around the portable like it was some kind of track field. I was like, okay, if that's what you guys need to do right now, just do that.
Yeah.
I can tell you a lot of other crazy things that they did. So, but I don't know how much time we have.
I do that between when I'm like reading through, for example, this week we had to do some really difficult negotiations and read through more than 90 pages of legal documents. The only way I made it through that is every time my brain would feel too much pressure, I went to the gym downstairs and I worked out and then cleared my mind, and then I could push through more. But without doing that physical exertion.
Yeah. That makes a huge difference. You absolutely have to give yourself that.
Yeah.
You have to take care of yourself. And the other thing that I always say in all my talks to all these young people, that after you make all these mistakes and you have all these problems and you think life is falling apart, first person you have to forgive
is yourself.
Guess who? Yourself. Yes.
Yeah.
Yourself. And most people don't. They don't even think about that. They don't even realize that they're mad at themselves. But
Paul Hutchinson says the same thing.
Could you please let up on yourself? Right.
He's like, forgive yourself. There was no way you could have known, and this is not your responsibility. Like
That's right.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. I got in trouble. At my daughter's elementary school, they would have the parents help give the tests, the spelling tests. And when the kid got too fidgety and they stopped spelling, I would tell them to go walk to the water fountain and walk back.
That's
to, like,
a good
clear their
idea.
mind. Yeah, and they were like, you let the kids move too much during the test. It's distracting the other kids and parents. So I was never asked to come back. So by trying to be helpful with the kids, I effectively got myself to be the only one not asked to help with the spelling tests at school.
I would have hired you. You would have been perfect for my class.
I would have been running with them. Yeah. So let's see. Who all is on your team now with your ParentingTRICK app? Are you looking for interns? What do you need in terms of human capital? And then we'll go into
I have 2 engineers that are great. And I have 2 other sort of CEO people from other groups that are also advising and helping me. I could use more help in, I guess, just in social media and how to get it out to people. So I'm not a big fan of TikTok, but I'm wondering whether TikTok would be a good way to get to parents. I've advertised it on Instagram a little bit on Facebook. I guess I need most help with promotion. That would probably be the most effective.
So I have 5 playbooks that teach everyone how to do all the organic marketing. And when companies have gone through those 5 playbooks, they've gone from idea on paper to anywhere between $21,000 and $13 million, because that's the power of organic marketing. Yeah. So we're going to give an ask to the audience. I will give you free access to those playbooks that are usually $500. If you are going to implement them for Esther's company, you can reach out to her on LinkedIn to apply to be her intern. And then when she picks an intern, she'll reach out to me to give you access to those playbooks.
Thank you. Thank you. That would be so incredible. Yes. And just think you'd be part of making the world a better place for everyone.
And you'd get to say you worked with the godmother of modern history.
I think my title has just grown.
Well, that's how I'm introducing you from now on. Like, that's it. It's done. It's official. And that's the name of this episode, is the godmother of modern history.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
This has been so much fun, honestly.
So let's dive into the last question. Are you raising capital for this? Is this something people can invest in, or is this like a passion project that you want it to just be privately held? Like, what are you thinking there?
You know, I haven't thought that through, but I will. It actually could be something that I could raise money for. Right now, I've just been running it out of my nonprofit. It's called Global Moonshots in Education. But I have considered, but I need to fully develop a plan if I'm going to do something that's actually going to be a marketing plan and a for-profit company. It could be a for-profit company easily.
If you keep it in the nonprofit world, there are some heiresses that their family expects them to work with nonprofits. They're very intelligent, very well connected.
Nonprofit. My goal is impact.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not as interested in, you know, making a lot of money on it. What I tend to do with all the extra money that I have for any reason is I donate it. So I'm constantly donating to all these organizations. So I'm not sure that I really need to make any more money, but I'd like to make a difference in the world and make kids happier. I don't like seeing 54% of college freshmen depressed, and they've got all kinds of, you know, eating disorders and psychological problems. And, you know, really we've got so much more in the world today than we did 100 years ago. We should be happy, and we aren't.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, our parents now treat us like status symbols. Like, I can tell you from the other side, like, my parents didn't care if I had depression or if I was having issues with food. I don't even think they noticed if I skipped so many meals in order to do my weigh-ins when I was a professional ballerina. They didn't know what my test scores were. They didn't know until I got my quarterly grades that I'd even taken tests. Like, it was all about, what do you get to say to the other Wall Street executives and other New York City big wigs when you go to the country club or the yacht club. And so your children were just like another way that you could like measure yourself against others in the community.
I think unfortunately that's true in a lot of cases. It's kind of like a dog show.
Yeah.
You know, you're parading your children around like little pets.
Yep.
And, you know, children aren't pets, and, you know, you don't want to be treated that way either. And so we just need to realize that, you know, this is God's attempt, or it's not only an attempt, it's his way of creating the next generation. And we just are caretakers. And we want to make these people into the best people they can be for the society that is coming in 20 years. It's every 20 years, another generation.
Yeah.
So this is my goal, but I'll be happy to entertain any ideas that they have. My goal is impact, as I said. So the more people that use this, it costs $6.95 a month, by the way. That's just to maintain the.
So then, I mean, even if it's a nonprofit, nonprofits still have to have a P&L, and they still need to have a budget to keep the lights on. Like, what is it? American Cancer Society, doesn't their CEO make $750,000 annual salary?
Oh, yes, they do. Well, I can just tell you that my annual salary is a zero.
I know, but I'm saying, like, even if you made it a nonprofit,
if I made a lot of money, it would still be zero. I would be using it to do things to make the world better. You know, this is not just true in Europe, and it's not just true. This problem is not just here in the US. It's worldwide. It's everywhere, because the PISA test, that's the International Test of Student Achievement, tests the entire world, and we're competing against each other. And the main focus in the whole world is achievement and not making a mistake and doing well on the test and, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a problem everywhere. And we all need to work together to save this planet, let's face it. It's got a few problems.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time. And thank you everyone for tuning in. It was a lot of fun.
It's fun with you. I must say, I have to come to Miami and see you.
You do. You do. We'll take you out. We'll go out on the boat.
Yes, that would be great. That would be great. Oh my God.
Oh, and you'll love my children. They're hysterical. They were bonding with Stephanie Urchick, the past president of Rotary International. They were taking care of her on the boat. They're used to having adult conversations, and most adults enjoy interacting with them. They're good kids.
That sounds great.
Yeah. Well, I'll see you in Miami or in Silicon Valley or maybe at your premiere in New York.
Okay, that's perfect. Well, thanks so much for this conversation. It's been a highlight already.
Yeah, likewise. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.